Thank you for joining us on Debbie's Back Porch. So glad to have you with us again tonight. We're going to make some stuffed shrimp. And stuffed shrimp is actually a favorite for Fred and me. But we don't make it often because it's not an inexpensive meal. But Fred's a great couponer and he gets shrimp. So when he has a good coupon. So I'm going to make some stuffed shrimp tonight. And it'll be stuffed with a homemade stuffing with crab meat and mushrooms, and I think you'll enjoy it. So let's get to it. We have done shrimp before, but how you peel and devein your shrimp matters a lot in making stuffed shrimp. So I'm going to show you how I do it on just a couple of these. Okay, these are very large, nice shrimp. About 18 to 20 count, I think. Your vein runs along the back of your shrimp in the curve. So to devein them, run the knife to the middle of the shrimp. And there the vein came out. And then rinse them. By the way, these shrimp are in ice water. You really should, if you have frozen shrimp, or fish of any kind, it should really be thawed in ice water. Cut them down, not all the way through, but until you get a nice spread. And then take the peel off. You do that by grabbing hold of the little legs and pulling up to this joint. And so I accidentally cut all the way through this one. So when we're stuffing the shrimp, we'll have a nice open bowl there to put the stuffing in. We'll do one more. Put your knife right into the middle. Pull up. Cut it to that joint right there. Wash away the vein. You see that there. And you want to cut it just enough to cut through that muscle there so that you have a bowl to put your stuffing in. That's it. We'll be back in a minute. Okay, we're getting ready to get started. I have, in my cast iron skillet, I have half stick of butter melting on a low to medium heat. In the back I have another little container, and I will have the other half stick butter of it. I have the other half stick butter in it, and when I'm a little closer to done, I'll turn it on and let it melt. So here are our ingredients. I have 2 cups of breadcrumbs. I bought those. I don't generally make breadcrumbs because we don't eat bread very often. But I'm sure you have some wonderful bread to make crumbs out of, or you can buy it. They're chopped like stuffing. I have a half cup of leeks. You could use onions. I'm using leeks because I had leeks. I have about a half cup of very finely minced portobello mushrooms. I have about a 1/4 cup of finely minced celery, 1 cup of turkey broth. I have some dried rosemary and sage, and I have a small can. It's a 6-ounce can of crab meat, and about a teaspoonful of minced garlic. So we're going to get started. Our butter is simmering. So this doesn't take long because we don't cook it very much. It'll get cooked more. Turn that down a little. It'll get cooked more when we bake the shrimp after they're stuffed. So, leeks or onions, about a half cup. This was in a half stick of butter. Mushrooms, any kind you like. This is kind of a different flavor base than I normally make. This is more like what I make for my Thanksgiving turkey stuffing. I'm not putting any carrots in it. Normally, you know, I put carrots in a flavor base. This is celery. But I don't want carrots in the stuffing. And then my teaspoonful of minced garlic. I have garlic planted next spring or next summer. I should have my own fresh garlic. Right now, that was minced garlic in a bottle that I bought at the grocery store. I'm going to let this simmer. Let it start to release its flavors. Then I'll come back. Okay, let's add just a little bit of salt. And our 2 cups of breadcrumbs. Now I have a cup of turkey broth. You can use chicken broth, you could use beef broth. If you have fish broth that you've made or bought, you can use it. If I didn't have the turkey broth that I had made, I would probably use vegetable broth. The chicken and turkey are fairly neutral. You can add them to almost anything. Now I'm not going to put this whole cup in there. What we want to do is to soften the breadcrumbs, but not make mush. So I have put about a half cup in. Going to let it simmer for a couple of minutes and let those breadcrumbs soften up. Okay. You can see they're softening up. The reason I need them to soften up is because I'm going to form little balls of stuffing to go inside the shrimp. I'm sprinkling in, I don't know, maybe quarter teaspoonful, maybe half teaspoonful of rosemary from my garden that I dried. Someday we'll do a video on drying herbs because I don't use a dehydrator. I like the flavor better if they're just naturally dried. And I dry a lot of herbs. So here is a pinch of sage. A big pinch. And you know, you can do this to taste. And if you had some parsley and thyme, you could put it in there and have the whole thing. Parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme. And we have a little more liquid to add in the crab. But I'm going to add the crab very last thing, because I don't want it to cook a lot. It'll cook in the shrimp when we're baking them. Well, I can smell that that's done. Let me taste just a little bit. Yes. I'm going to turn this off and boil it up, and when it cools off a little bit, I'll add the crab, and then we will start stuffing shrimp. Okay, this has cooled off a good bit. It's not cold by any means. And I've put on gloves, not necessarily just because I'm going to be touching the food, but because it's kind of hot. So I'm putting in the crab meat. You can get a different, like a bigger flake crab meat. This is body meat. You can get claw meat, but for stuffing, this is fine. Okay. I use these for stuffed shrimp, stuffed chicken, stuffed fish, because I've had them a long time. I like the way they work, how they fit. So, this one I didn't cut through deep enough. You want to arrange your shrimp with the tails up, and you know, sometimes the tails break off. That's okay. Now I take a heaping teaspoonful of the stuffing, lay it on the shrimp, and curl the sides of the shrimp around it. Let me do another one for you. Heaping teaspoonful of stuffing, and you may have some extra moisture in there that you want to squeeze out. I sort of shape it in an elongated ball, and I wrap the sides of the shrimp up around it. I'm going to do one more. Too much. And wrap the shrimp around it. I'm going to go ahead and, that's my oven, preheating to 350. When I get these all stuffed, I'll brush the tops with butter. This is the butter that I was melting. And then I'm going to bake it for about 20 minutes. In a 350 oven, but I'll keep a close eye on it. All that we want to do is for it to cook all the way through. Everything in here actually was already cooked but we want it to be hot all the way through and crispy on top. So I'll finish stuffing these, stick them in the oven, and we'll be back. Well, there you have it, stuffed shrimp. It has the wonderful taste of crab, plus your fresh herbs. We're going to serve it with some butter, some coleslaw. See all those lovely fresh herbs. Thank you for joining us on Debbie's Back Porch. Hope to see you again tomorrow.